Hey guys, what's going on? It's your big dreamer and doer G Dinero coming to you today with another TA Tuesday. But first, before we jump in, remember, none of this is financial, legal, tax, investment advice. This is your buddy G Dinero helping you increase your financial literacy to set you and your family on that path to financial freedom. So with no further ado, let's jump right in. All right, so first we're going to start off today with the Bitcoin chart. I'm only going to cover the 4-hour charts today, not the dailies like I did last week, just for sake of time. But what we can see here is on the 4-hour chart, our long-term uptrend with Bitcoin is still intact. That's evident by the longer-term linear regression channel that you see here. Here's one of the red lines at the top. Here's one of the red lines at the bottom, the green midpoint right here. So now we're going to go ahead and zoom in. The short-term downtrend is also still intact. You notice we just peeked our head outside of the linear regression channel here on Monday of this week, yesterday, and then quickly dropped right back down into the channel. We're basically battling along right on the upper edge of this channel. So zooming in a little bit more, what did the last week look like? Well, we came off a buy signal a little over 2 weeks ago. Last week was chop solidation. We tried to make a little bit of an attempt back up above the 200-day moving average, dropped right back below it. We retested the moving average here on Sunday evening and have since stayed above it. You notice that we dropped back down, but not as far as the 200-day moving average. That's what we want to see. We want to see Bitcoin staying above this yellow line right here, this 200-day moving average. You note that we did find resistance pretty much right here, right at the 78.6% fib level. And then you see my line up there above that, the 91.5 strong support and resistance. That was the area for the longest time that was support and resistance for Bitcoin until we basically retested the line here on Thursday, March the 6th, and we haven't been back above it since. We haven't been above that level. So immediate resistance levels that I see are the 78.6 fib level, which is at $89,500 roughly. The 50-day moving average is now down to $90,000, and then 91.5, with the midpoint of the long-term channel that we've been in being at about 92.5, almost $93,000 right now. You will note that we are significantly mean reverted to the upside. So to see some pullback right now back down to the mean would not be unusual. Same thing, RSI was way overheated up here near almost 80 just yesterday. And so to pull back a little bit today is not unusual with Bitcoin. Support levels on the way down to 85, a little over $85,000 for the 200-day moving average. The midpoint of this descending linear regression channel, which is at about $80,500, 80,700. And then the next level down would be the bottom part of the long-term channel. That's way down here. That's down under $76,000, 75,500. I don't see us dropping down to that anytime soon with Bitcoin, not with the narrative that's going on. Solana. So Solana, very similar to the Bitcoin chart, except it pulled back even harder. Bitcoin pulled back to the 200-day moving average and then was kind of dancing on either side of it. You'll note that Solana pulled all the way back to the 38.2% fib level, $117.60, something like that. It actually hit a low of 112 during this time frame. The long-term linear regression channel, we've been out of it all the way since the 24th of February. So we've been out of it for a full month right now, below this long-term channel. So is that broken down? Not necessarily, but we need to find a way back up into it. We're not very far away right now. You can see here's the long-term linear regression channel at about 153, 154, and we're sitting today at 144. So we're, call it 10 points away from being back into that long-term channel. We are significantly mean reverted to the upside. This is over 2 standard deviations to the upside. Typically when that happens, when RSI is up above 70, we see some type of pullback to the mean. Now, if we look at the shorter term linear regression channel, that's this red line right here. We broke out of the short-term downtrend that we've been in, and we actually broke out of it pretty conclusively. We're staying well above this linear regression channel that you see here, this red line that's sloping downwards to the right. That's a great sign, right? So looks like we've bottomed. coming off the bottom on this buy signal right here, right on the 38% fib level. We retested the midpoint of this channel right along here. And after that retest, we broke out of the descending channel short term and are now looking to retest this 50% fib level. That's been a problem. We haven't been able to get above that. We went above it briefly back here at the end of February and immediately dropped right back down in again. Let's see, the date on that is, sorry, that was March the 2nd, and back down in on March the 3rd. So that's the midpoint of this short-term channel that we're in. The only time we broke above it before and stayed above it was here. The only time we broke above the 50% fib level was back there on March. We dropped right back below it, retested it, weren't able to get above it. We're not able to get above it. Right now, we're making our way and closing in on it. I believe that's going to be significant resistance. So call that 151, 152. Then you have this. This is the bottom part of that long-term channel. That's at about 154. The 50-day moving average at about 157. And then the 200-day moving average is way up here at about 183. So those are going to be the resistance levels on the way up. I see really 150 to 155, and then somewhat smooth sailing until we get up here to this 180 2 to 185 level, because we have so many things there. We have the 200-day, the 100-day, and the 61.8% fib level all converging on the same area. With so many things converging there, that's going to be an area of significant resistance going through that 185 level. It's going to take something to get through that. Support to the downside. The top part of this channel, which is currently at about 132, descending rapidly though. So 131, 132 would be the first support. Next level of support is down here at this 118 to 120 level for Solana. MicroStrategy, looking at the big picture, again, long-term linear regression channel, way intact. We're in fact back up above the midpoint of that. You notice that's this green line that we were trying to break above. And we finally conclusively broke above it here last week and then retested it last Friday. And since then, we have not been back below the midpoint. That's this green line that you see me tracing right here. That's the midpoint of this channel, this long-term channel. Short-term channel, here was the midpoint of the short-term channel. Last time we retested that was down here on March the 18th. And we actually broke out above this short-term descending channel. We also just broke above the 100-day moving average and retested it. So remember last week we were talking about how the 100-day moving average was going to be resistance and that it was angling upwards, that we would find perhaps some resistance at the 50-day moving average also. Well, we kind of got close to it right here last Wednesday, retested the midpoint of the long-term channel that we've been in, and then broke out above the 50-day. We actually gapped up yesterday and we were above the 50-day. Now back all the way up to the top part of the channel and out the top part of the channel, and actually using the 100-day as support currently. And that's sitting at about 330. So current first level of support is 330. Next level of support down is 315, let's call it 316 with the 50-day moving average. Then the midpoint of this channel that we've been in, which is call it 300. And then the next level down would be 280. So those would be the support levels on the way down. Resistance levels on the way up. Definitely there's going to be strong resistance here at 345. If you look back, this is the 61.8% fib level. And if you look back, it has been the support and resistance level for a while now. In fact, you notice that I have a call option that I've sold there. That's what I'm monitoring right at the 340 level. If it got called away from me, I wouldn't be upset with it because, again, it's in an IRA. There's no tax complications of that. So it's trading. And you notice we're already starting to see some ghost signals, some little sell signals starting to show up right here on the confluence model of IADSS. You'll also see that we are starting to get up into the overheated range on the mean reversion tool. Also, MACD, RSI, both up in that range of being overbought. So look for a little bit of a sell-off, a cooling down period. Where do I see us dropping down to? Really no further than 300. So if we pull back a little bit, it might be back to the 50-day moving average or to 300. Upside, we've got 344 as resistance. There's also some resistance at 360, 380, and 400. That would be evident if we threw on the VRVP and we take a look at that. Let it populate here for a moment. And you'll see right here, there's the 360, the pocket, there's the pocket of volume up to about 360. Then the next level up starts at about 380 to 400. There is some resistance that we would have to churn through right there. And then we've got a little bit up here at 4.25 to 435, which is that fib level, next fib level up. All right, let me just go back out of that and let's go back over to Tesla. Finally on Tesla. Tesla's the one that was the best performer so far of the last couple of days, right? Tesla's finally coming alive. So I have this pulled way out so that you can see long term, we had this giant run up and we gave almost every bit of it back. If you look, we basically came back to where we started on October 24th, 23rd, 24th. We pulled back to within a couple dollars of that. And since then, we found, it looks like we're finding a bottom. You notice we pulled back, we bottomed once, we bottomed twice, right before where the 1023 low was, the October 23rd low was. We were significantly mean reverted to the downside for the last couple of months almost, and finally are starting to break out back up to the upside. The green line that you see right here that's angling, not the straight one. The straight one's the 50% fib level. That's going to present some resistance on the way up. The green line is the midpoint of the long-term channel that we've been in all the way since the lows back there at the end of 2022, early 2023, right? So why do I bring this up? Well, we were above that midpoint for months and months until we finally broke below it, and it was resistance at the beginning of March. Our goal is, we've got to get back the 200-day moving average, and then B, we've got to get back up above this green line to get back into the long-term upward channel that we've been in, and to be in the upper half of it instead of being down in the bottom half of it. We are mean reverted slightly to the upside. RSI value definitely is mean reverted to the upside. You'll notice that. Let me auto scale that. We were up here in the 80, 78, 77, 78 range on RSI. So we're a bit overheated with Tesla right now. You'll note that we are running into resistance perfectly at the 200-day moving average. That was what I had said last week, that we would find some significant resistance there, likely on the way up, and not just rip right through it, but instead go up to it, pull back, take a breather, and then make another run at it. Where could we pull back to? I could see us pulling back to 250. This has been the level that we had tried to break through once, twice. Finally, on the third time, we gapped up on Monday and gapped up above that 250 level. I wouldn't be surprised to see a retest of it, to see this kind of come back down, retest this level before taking off again if we're going to take off. If we were to break down further from there, the next level down would be the midpoint of this descending short-term channel that we've been in. You'll notice there's the upper line of the short-term channel. So not only at the 200-day, but also at the upper bounds of that short-term channel, we found some resistance. So that's not unusual to see. And what would be the next level? So that's 250. We'll call this the channel 238. And then again, we want to just make sure that we don't make a lower low than what we made back here. So that's at 215. So those would be the levels of support on the way down. Levels of resistance right now, obviously this 200-day moving average at 285 is significant resistance, along with the edge of this downward sloping channel, short-term channel. 295 would be next up. That's a 50% fib level. We battled with that quite a bit. You'll notice back over here. And then the midpoint of the channel, which is at around 300. Next up would be the 50-day moving average at 330. And then finally 340, which is the 61.8% fib level. Significant resistance there as well that I would see. All right, well, I hope you found mad value in today's TA Tuesday. If you did, make sure you like this video. Drop me a comment. Let me know, what'd you like best? What would you like to see more of? Make sure you're subscribed to my channel so that you see every video that I put out, and as well as videos that are like mine. Also, you can book a course or an individual appointment with me over at gdinerocoaching.com. Maybe you want to learn how to master the charts, so you would take the TradingView and technical analysis course, Or maybe you want to learn how to trade options. It's something you've always been interested in doing. You can book my Understanding Options course with me. And finally, remember, this is G Dinero helping you increase your financial literacy to set you and your family on that path to financial freedom. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.